How to survive Agile Scrum without losing your mind. Let's get into it. Hello, my name is Chris. Easy for me to say. My name is Chris Athanas. I'm a KMP developer. Tech support says they're coming out to close that Tuesday. They said they'll be out Tuesday, but I keep saying that. But okay. So I'm going to respond. I was responding to this guy. I think he might be a Scrum Agile coach or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I started yelling at the screen, so I figured you might as well yell at the screen with you guys. So let's get into it. Let's go.
Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Are you fed up of stuff like this scaled agile safe framework? Are you fed up of the agile release train? Choo choo. Let's get on that train.
By the way,
stuff like this Scrum.
I'm doing this in the context of adventure-driven development, and if you haven't seen my first series about what that is, it's descriptive, not prescriptive. It's a volunteer effort. It's not top down like Lean. It has a lot of similarities to Lean, but Lean's like, how can we do it for so little? It's like, how can we do it with as much with courage, right? Because there's really what it's only courage and creativity in the factor in the epic quest. That's all that matters. So that's voluntary, and that comes from getting a skill set of going down in these places of tunnel fake agile doom and Scrum coach death marches of cargo cults. And the tar pits of seemingly good ideas, the lava lakes of direct competition copycats, lowest priced leader, lead mines, tech solutions looking for a problem, more servers than customers, dungeon grind, Jira burn down slog, feature factor. After you've done a few of these, after your tutorials give you I can do this, then the personal project is like, look at this thing I put together, and then the junior mod projects and all this stuff, senior lead roles that you're told to do these things by upper management because they went to a conference, and there was a guy that was selling a book and a course, by the way. We took the course, and they said you have to do this. Okay, all right, and that's this type of preserver type people who run the corporations, who run the companies, everything like that. They got skin in the game, and they got to be convinced, right? And we're the destroyer creator types. That's the adventurers types, the creator story types. So we're always in conflict, but this is our customer, right? We have to sell this guy. But we're always in conflict with them. And if we go into an organization thinking that we can just do all destroyer stuff, I got a new idea. It's you have to understand there's a whole bunch of stuff this guy's already got invested that has to tick a lot of boxes to make his bosses, who you're not talking to, by the way, happy. There's a lot of processes, a lot of moving parts. Destroyers don't care. Creators are we can make more boxes. So it's the creator destroyer types that that have to convince the preservers that everything's cool. So this is all preserver. This is all preserver stuff here. All this stuff, agile release train. This is all preserver talk, and they're sold at their Scrum training sessions with the agile coach that they met at the conference. That had a book to sell, and he was on a tour, by the way.
Agile release train, choo choo. Let's get on that train. Are you fed up of stuff like this? Scrum masters, product owners, and being browbeaten about agile? Well, this video is for you. I've been a software developer for 15 years. I've seen good Scrum, good Agile, and bad Agile, and I'm here to try and save you from the pain that I've been through. Let's begin by talking.
Well, you're going to have to go through it a little bit, because if you haven't been through it, you're not going to understand it. And it's kind of hard to avoid, but if you did success, like some guys seem to successfully avoid this, or they got early on and they got a reputation, didn't have to go through it anymore. But even then, if you haven't been through it, you definitely will, and it'll be the norm, and then it's industry standard best practices.
Talking about what Scrum is not about, okay? This is not Scrum. If anybody tells you this is Scrum, they're lying. It's not about story points, it's not about burn down charts, and it's not about getting 100% accurate estimates for.
Okay, this is ridiculous. This is made up stuff for this old time estimate stuff. Everybody's trying to get it in super fast, and maybe we can put a pip on them. Maybe we can beat the developers into submission. Burn down charts, all the same stuff. This is all industrial practices. When you're stamping out the same goddamn part 50 times a minute, then we can do story points and burn down charts and 100% accurate. But that message didn't get through to academia, or academia revolted against it because no, that can't be. Every business we've ever seen is a factory. We don't know how the widget got to production. We don't. That's something else. You can't categorize that. You can't put a number on it. And most of the stuff, of course, the people try fails. right? So you can't put a number, but the stuff that succeeds super well because it didn't see all the different things it went through, and then it's like the end result. Let's put it in the production process. We can do a burn down chart on that. So yeah, in a production process, after you already know what you're making, yes, but get to what people want and what they're making. That's all this stuff. That is all this stuff right here. You're dancing with this dragon up here. It is super fun if you're into it, but if you're not into it, if you're preserved, it's like, just give me the checkbox and send to the sales. Give me the three weird tricks to do sales. That's what I want, because I'm trying to do, like, these guys are trying to do something else. They got something else going on. They want to relax. They want to spend time with their family. They got vacations to go on. They got stuff they're ordering off Amazon that they want to play with. They're not really interested in the adventure. Who wants to dance with this thing? This thing bites you and it hurts, and you can't. You're down for a while. You have to go back down in these pits again. It's not fun. So yeah, of course, it'd be so nice to have that job security, right? That'd be having a silver where you're just doing the same tech job over and over again. You're doing very well. It pays well. You got a nice silver spoon. You eat good, and you got the 401k stashed away. But you're not going to go for the gold cup, right? Because that's just to dance with this thing, and it's crazy. It's actually it's insane, right? Because you're thinking and you're trying to make it pray. It's like, no, I'm going to make you pray. I'm going to get more out of you than you think you're giving to me. It's like, oh, really? Is this how it's going to work? It's like, yeah, that's kind of that's what we're doing. Yeah, we're dancing with it. How can I deliver value more than other people that's going to make this thing, instead of giving the gold to that guy, give it to me? Or getting rid of people's jobs here. I know it's hard to hear. It's like, oh, that sounds really oof, that's harsh, but that's what we're doing. The people are already being served some way. Some of the stuff, the software's already, the problem is being served some way, and we're trying to solve it in a better way. Does the burn down chart get us there? No. The story point? No. This is all for management, man. This is all to make management feel, ooh, they feel good. Here, the big thing in adventure-driven development is we get rid of the time stuff, right? Where is it? Where did I put it here? I put it up here somewhere. Where is it? Damn it. I don't even know my own book. Damn it. Okay, here it is. Where it is. It's coming up right here. For management, the one major positive for using the ADD method is there's an exact time limit for the epic quest. For the period of time that you've been given to do this, whatever it is, a month, a day, 16 weeks, whatever, a year, you better have something to show at the end of it, because if you don't, you're going to be cut off, because there is no more time limits. We have a time, you're given a deadline, like Woz was given a deadline for jobs where he was going to go join a cult, and he didn't plan ahead super well. He didn't realize there was a big entrance fee. He had 4 days before he was going up to for the gathering get together, which who knows what they were doing up there. I'm sure there was more than just eating apples. And so Woz didn't know that. Was given the order. About he was also kind of down because he'd already built this other stuff, and he was like, okay, let's do breakout. Let's build it. And he got meningitis from it. I think he pushed it a little too hard. You can't go. Don't physically. You should not do that. But there is times when you have to do that kind of mentally. Like, don't push yourself 22 hours a day. That's a really bad way of doing it. It did come up with a color mechanism that allowed Apple II to succeed, have color before anybody else. But let's not talk about that right now.
That project manager. What Scrum actually is about is the team. Yeah, okay? And it's about getting the team to do predictable release cadence, which means you ship something at a predictable cycle and everybody's happy with the team. It's about communication.
Why is that important to have it predictable? Who's that for? Is that for the team? Are we figuring stuff out as soon as we're done? And until if we get a snag, it's going to be obvious. Like if we run up against something and we do our test runs up, we're not even going to bring it up. It's impossible unless we get the test run going. Now, if you're coming into a legacy code base, well, that's a different story. But if you're trying to do a route up to some goal, you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know how long it's going to take. Give me a time limit, and then I'll tell you if I can get there or not. If I can't get there, I can't get there. And if I get there, I get there. I don't know what do you want us to say? It's like people think it's this thing that goes over and over again. I mean, in industrial processes, this is appropriate. But in knowledge work, it is not. And I'm going to keep saying it.
And trust within that team and with the stakeholders around that team. And it's about allowing the team to manage themselves. That's all it is.
Well, without all this junk, with the Jira ticket burn down chart, cult, Scrum stand up, everyone's there talking about their dogs and cats and what they did last weekend for fun. Come on.
But there are good and bad types of Scrum. And the good type I call high trust Scrum. Yeah, high trust Scrum, where you are the trusted partners for the business, and there's also low trust Scrum.
Absolutely. This is a nice split. This is a nice split between the high trust Scrum, which is talking about these two guys, who are usually given very little support by these guys because they're side-eyed. Because let's face it, most of this stuff goes wrong. Most of this stuff doesn't work. It's bad. It doesn't. It gets off. It's half-cocked. It's totally missed. They didn't been a couple steps ahead. They're not chess players, right? But some players are chess players. They can move 3 or 4 steps down the line. But these guys have had so much experience. They don't know. With the people that give them all kinds of bullshit. They're just like, no. We're not going to give you. You have to prove it, right? So that's fair. That's fair, right? Because there is a lot of people doing all the bullshit, right? And they got to be careful because these are the ones. If the ones to be successful, you got to be careful. And they really don't know what the bullshit is, so you have to demonstrate it, right? You have to show them somehow. You have to do things that don't scale, right?
You're hired hands. You're there just to get those tickets across the line. Now I know what you're thinking. How do I know I'm in a low trust environment? Well, if any of these things are true, it's a low trust environment. And oh my God, it's the project manager guy. He's back. Hi, mate. He's back from the last video. And he says something like,
So he's trying to split it down. He's trying to whip it faster because what else does he have? What else does this guy have? Because his job actually depends. Now, this is the secret. His job depends on asking this question because he doesn't offer anything else. He's not adventure-driven. He doesn't know how the software works. He took a Scrum training and a project management course, and he was cleaning pools last week. He was working down at the beer factory, shipping out barrels, and he could. It's like, I know how many barrels per minute, per second, per day, and I can calculate that out. So all I need is the numbers in my spreadsheet, man.
An hourly estimate for that task, please. Yeah, this is low trust. How many tickets will you complete this sprint? I need to tell the stakeholders in advance exactly what they're going to get and when. Low trust. Yeah. And this other guy in another team said it should only take 2 hours. So why do you say it's going to take 3?
There's another guy over here that said that it would take 3 points, and you're saying it's 5. Well, we don't think so because we had a guy last week do a different task. It's kind of similar to what you were doing, and that took literally 3 points. And so we need you to shave a point off because it's Fibonacci.
This is low trust, and this is not a fun environment to work in. You need to stay away from people like this. But why do people put up with low trust environments?
Because you have to in the beginning. These are the things that are most available. These are the shysters, the low cost like leaders, and it's these guys. It's these guys over here that you're gonna get involved in first. You're gonna get tons of fake ads, color codes, tar pits, and simulations. We're making a social media. We're doing a crypto. We're doing an AI. We're doing a blockchain. Lava directs. We're gonna do this. We're just on Amazon for XYZ. We're gonna be lower cost than Walmart. Okay.
Should be implicit that the dev team is working to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, we're always doing our best. The thing is with adventure-driven stuff, because it's so self-selected, and you kind of have to show that you kind of know what you're doing already. Yeah, you're gonna be maxing it out already.
They're just not incentivized correctly. Their success is not aligned with the project's success. Right. If this is the case, then how are they?
There has to be reward. So the other thing about the lean stuff that doesn't put in there is the reward part. You gotta have some skin in the game. So if you do actually complete this epic quest and these worthy tasks and this mission of like whatever you're doing, there's got to be a reward at the end. To take that much risk, we're taking math, most of the stuff fails. We have a limited lifespan. I know it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe as a cog in the machine that we have a limited lifespan, but we do. So we're putting our life forces that could be going in other places, by the way. We could be doing other things, which I have done. And like we don't have to do these things, right? Smart people like, they look at something, they go, I don't know if it's worth dicking around with that stuff. I'm going to go do something else, right? That is a thing, by the way. There is other places and other things to do outside tech. I know. Horror is a shock.
It's supposed to be successful. But if you're stuck in a low-trust Scrum environment, you need to build that trust, okay? And these are some things you should do. You can make commitments and then actually follow through with those commitments.
Well, you can show the effort along the way. Maybe meeting them or not. Who knows? All this stuff, all doing stuff in software, you're supposed to be doing something you hasn't really been done before. And trying to get a market share that you can just slice in. What are you talking about? So sometimes we can't make big commitments to make sure we get another commitment. So what do you mean by commitment? What level of commitment? There's a time limit here. We know that at the end, if we don't got it, we don't got it. And if we do, we are making some kind of progress, we can show that. And with the other guy that says that's funding this thing, whether it's us or some other person, we could go, look how far we've come. And like, okay, that's not enough. Sorry, you're not cutting it. Where this other thing came out and you're just toast. And we went in the long lines. We figured out that this is not a thing, and it's a tar pit, or we're going direct competition, or somebody figures out like, okay, you can't really compete low cost. You're just not going to do that. That's silly. Don't do that. But you might be able to convert the profit someplace else. Like, who knows? Like, it's all kinds of stuff that can fail along the way. There's no guarantee.
You should do what you say you're going to do by the time you say you're going to do it.
Right, but you're going to be in a small team of less than 7 people on adventure driven, right? Not the Scrum shit. Whatever, how many team sizes are. That's the Fibonacci sequence. You got to have less than 7 people, and everyone's going to be pulling their weight because you're going to see everybody's pulling their weight because the ones that aren't are going to be obvious. And it's super sad that the people that get involved with some of the stuff aren't aware of what the difference between adventure driven and the preserver stuff, the standard corporate stuff, and they think that they know. They all know the lingo, but they don't really know the vibe. I'm trying to get to the vibe. That's why I'm changing the flavor around and doing all this mythic quest stuff. Is because it's this thing. It's not everyone's got it. It's a voluntary. You got to volunteer in. That's why it's like they're excluding people. It's like no, it's a volunteer in. You have to show that you're trying to. You did some scouting missions. You've picked, and there's a little cave opening up there. He's like, I think we got a cave opening up there, which is the problem that could possibly be solved with your solution. You could make it up to the cave opening and go inside and start dancing with the monster, the customer who's got a lot of demands and will poke your eyes out and put you back into the lead mines or the tunnels of fake Agile doom. You have to. Oh, I don't want to go back in there. Please don't put me back. So you get motivated.
Keep doing this until trust is built. Okay. Don't make commitments that you can't meet, or you're not 99% certain that you can.
How do you know what they can't meet it unless you've okay, so through the experience, right, of going down into these tunnels, right, you have an idea of what you're doing, and then you do people just do 1 or 2 people sit around they are motivated because they haven't been beaten down by this stuff, and they have some sort of will to go do some happiness up here by attacking this thing that nobody else is seeing and don't care about, right? It's who knows if we can meet them or not. You do make commitments you may not meet. But the thing is, okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know if I'm going to get there or not. That's the risk. Risk, reward, right? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I got the risk, reward. Where is it? Here it is. It's this stuff. Where is it? Damn it. Here it is. The risk. We voluntary in. You can't tell people to go do this because it's like, I'm just probably going to waste my time. It's like, yeah, you probably will. It's true.
Going to meet, all right? And don't let other people make commitments for you. Most of the time, this is a trap. When a project manager says,
yeah, they're going to always try. That's what else do they have, sir? What else do they have? They don't know the product. They can't add. They don't know the UI, UX. They don't do anything useful. Where is it? Where do I talk about that? Hold on here. Yeah, right here. These guys got to be useful somehow. Right here. So small teams. Here it is. Everyone must pull some load in some manner. Some worthy task has to be pushed down, which is going to deal with a lot of trouble, a lot of messing around, a lot of failure. Honestly, a lot of hassle, a lot of things not going right, things not expecting to go. So not just generate burn down charts, right? People doing classic management tasks are required to skill up and learn UI, UX, sales, marketing, advertising, customer support training, how to document this stuff, user guides, blah, blah, blah. Websites, how to build those things, not outsource them, how to build them themselves. Photography, art, graphic design, all that stuff. You got to have a useful skill, man. You can't just be like, oh, give me the burn down chart. It's like you can come over here, you can pull some load. You want to learn how to code. Go in and do some tutorials on what developers are having to go through to make this stuff work. You're gonna find out it ain't just like an easy walk in the park. No, it's complicated. It's overcomplicated. That's why I'm a big proponent of KMP, because the level of complication for the software for what it's actually doing is ridiculous. Come on.
By this point, and you haven't actually said it with your own lips. This is a trap, okay? And the way you do this is through a system of sprint goals, not story points.
I'm going to disagree with the goal thing. Maybe worthy task is a better thing. It's like we have a worthy thing that we need to have done. It's going to sticking around. It's a lot of bullshit having to be involved, and it's fucking annoying, pain in the ass. But you get rewarded the points, right? So I'm thinking about changing it from, instead of experience points, it's trouble points. And then when you win it, when you actually complete the goal or defeat the worthy task, you actually get those, and those become your saga points or your lore points or your feat points, where you can talk about, what happened? How did you defeat that thing? It's like, oh man, this thing was a pain in the dick.
But what makes a good sprint goal? All right, what makes a good sprint goal? And he's back. It's Klein, our full stack dev from one of the previous videos, and he makes goals like this. He says, I'm going to implement the import functionality this sprint. That's it. That's all he says. He doesn't say he's going to take 32 user stories to get there. He says, I'm going to upgrade and test all the packages this sprint.
Yeah, Yeah, not the sprint, the session. I'm calling it the session because the sprint has this thing like you have to go fast. And a lot of people think that like there's this thing where you have to go fast. It's just an easy way to burn out. So the sprint terminology that came from Scrum, you gotta get rid of it. It's terrible. I do want to say here up front, what my opinion is about this stuff, just so it's super clear. That there's no doubt. So Agile has always been arcane, and now anachio-dromia. That's easy for me to say. Scrum is a minor detail at best. So all this stuff about the meetings and stuff, if you're adventure driven, you're kind of already doing it already, right? There's really not. It's like you could break it up into sessions if you want. Or it's just the whole thing's just one big session. Like it doesn't have to be broken up into these little parts. That's management stuff, man. That's industrial. They're trying to make this knowledge work into an industrial thing. Now, if for some reason you guys split up, you have to sync up, and you want to have to try and sync up at a certain time and it's reasonable. You all talked about. Yeah, okay, that'll be one thing, but not. I was like, it's more Kanban. It's like, okay, I got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, right? And the time estimates are fantasies and pure technical debt. And if you don't know what I mean by pure technical debt, you can look up the definition of who the guy that coined the term technical debt and what he had to say about it.
Sprint, and that could be a little bit wishy-washy on the all, but that's a decent goal. And he's going to say something like allow the user to log in and save a record. That's a whole user story there. And obviously he writes user stories to keep the documentation gremlins happy along the way, but overarching on a sprint, there is a goal. Of course, what a bad sprint.
Now this could be done by the team that doesn't need a product manager to have all this thing broken out. You guys, that's how we did it back in the day where everyone would know, this is what we're working on today, here's the other thing tomorrow. And I don't even know how we remember how we did. I think we just talked. I think we had a board, a whiteboard, and sometimes it was a shared email document that we share back and forth. And we just talk about what we're doing. It wasn't this whole thing like everything has to be documented. Who for who? Most of the stuff's tacit, man. Most of the things we do in software development is all this tacit stuff. We can only document so much, and it doesn't really make sense because that gets out of sync anyway. And when people leave, people have to interpret it and they have to refine it. Blah blah blah. Doing videos like this, I think would be good, but like even then, it's like okay, well, the tacit knowledge. Once it's gone, you can't just get it back by documentation, right? So we got the pyramid of results. We got actions, beliefs, experiences. So the beliefs and experiences that drive a lot of the software development practices, like how people do it, how they build their things, the metaphors they're using, and how they're setting things up, come from experiences that give them beliefs. That then you can see the actions, which is them coding, and then the results is the source code. So this is the tiniest amount, but it doesn't include all this stuff. It only includes little pieces of little offshoots of it, right? So that has to be acknowledged.
And goals look like, well, he's back. Oh no, he's back. He says the goal is to fix 20 bugs.
Maybe. Call 20 people. Try to fix 20. If you have a lot of bugs, you've taken on some legacy code that you're trying to revamp and bring up. Like maybe. But I don't know. It's kind of arbitrary, isn't it? Don't you want to fix certain bugs within priority, right? There's certain ones you want to pick. Maybe those be the worthy task. Each one of those, just break it up. Give each one 100. Was it trouble points? How much? Or pain in the dick points.
The goal is to fix all the bugs.
Fix all the bugs. Now, literally, that's not possible unless we get rid of all the code. We can fix all the bugs if we get rid of all the code and all the customers. If we get rid of all the customers and all the code, then we can fix all the bugs. Otherwise, we're always going to have bugs and customers too. They go along. They go bugs, customers, bugs. They go together.
Or to complete more story points than the.
Oh my God, this stuff. Now, in adventure driven, we're going to collect more of these trouble points. We're not completing them. We're collecting them. So if you really want to go for it, you can. But we really don't like it. That's not the whole idea. It's not the idea as a hack and slash as quickly as possible. We're trying to get through this thing effectively, not as quickly as possible. Yes, if we have a tight deadline or whatever, and we need to get things done, we might have to go things for it. But man, you don't want to do that too many times. You will burn yourself out and you will quit. Quit all of it. Because it's too hard. It's like, well, maybe you bit off more than you chew. That's also part of the process, right? Is figuring out how much, what can I get done? What can I let out? What can I leave out? How about what can I leave out? What can I make things more simple? Why do I have to do it the old way? Why do why not invent the gin, the cotton gin, right? That removes seeds automatically. It's me picking through it. Okay, maybe I can grow another pinky and I can pick faster or something, or pick with two fingers at the same time somehow. No, why don't you invent the cotton gin, right? Nobody thought about that before the cotton gin.
The last sprint. This, my friends, is a trap. And the reason he does this is so he can say things like this. You said you'd do 23 tickets this sprint, but you only did 22. Therefore,
no, I've never had this happen to me. I've never had anybody say this, but they've implied it. They've definitely implied it. Even though I was working on bugs that people didn't want to mess with and been left on the back story pile because every time they get into it, it's too hard, they give up. But I'm expecting, you said it was going to be 8 points. But there was this kind of like, hey, you're taking too long. I was like, well, this thing has to integrate in the thing you already made and be in the pattern you've already put. And I have to like copy that too, right? It's like if you don't, you know what I mean? It looked like 7 people wrote this thing. It's like, yeah, well, it kind of looks like that already.
Or you are a failure. Never mind getting them all done, 22 done on time. You failed your sprint targets, okay?
Yeah, you failed. This guy, yeah, we need to. In the adventure driven, this guy does not exist. Right? He's just not around. He's just we're not doing it like that.
Your team's a failure. Let's talk about it in the retrospective where we will have a therapy session.
Now, I've never had that happen to me, but it's been implied. Oh yeah, for sure.
Find out just what it takes to let you do 23 tickets instead of 22. Nonsense this is. And you think story points.
And all this does is make people pad their numbers. Like, what do you mean? And also be like, oh, is that how we're gonna do it? So these preserver types, like these industrial things, like they can tell the robot, if you do it faster, if we whip you harder, we'll put you on a pit plan, make you go faster. And they just never understand that, dude, this does not work on the destroyer. Well, all we do is leave and want to compete right with you and take some of your customers away. I mean, if this is not obvious, it's like, come on, stop, guys. Stop hiring these people that think that knowledge work is an industrial process, and it's simply not. Now, I'm gonna keep ringing the bell until things change, which is probably gonna be never. So it's like once you identify these environments that you're in, right? Once you identify how these things work, if you've come across my video somehow and you see, oh my God, I'm in one of these things, do not give up hope. Do not despair, weary traveler, weary adventurer. There is adventure ahead. You do have to do your time down here and learn all the best practices and industry standards and know which ones can be just shoved off to the side. And these people are like, don't shove me off to the side. I need to make the story points for the burn down chart.
I want some story points. Well, they're bad. Okay, they're bad. They're not a measure of anything. They're actually there to get maximum utilization out of it.
Right, which is an industrial process. That's an industrialization. When you're in a factory and you need to pump out parts, you definitely want industrial utilization. And you better believe you're on top of it. Every machine that's going, if one's broken down every 3 days, you're gonna want to replace that guy, et cetera, et cetera. It's industrial, but we're not doing industrial stuff. We're trying to figure out what widget to be made. The industrial process of producing the widget has been solved for software. It's called Google Play Store. It's called Apple Store. The App Store. That's done. That part's over. So we can perfect the software is completely perfect, stamped every single time out the door, right? So that part's solved. So what do we now? There's like, what do you make? And that's always, well, I never know what to make. Well, no shit. It's hard to figure out what to make. That takes insight. That takes this. It takes this shit down here. It takes this stuff here. Experiences, beliefs. And how do you get those? Well, you may not get them in the tech field. You may have to go outside and talk to people and do other things and be involved in the world in a different way. You know what I mean? I don't know if this makes sense.
Dev team, they're there to fine-tune their inputs so they can get maximum outputs, like some sort of factory robot machine.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a story point in the Agile Manifesto, okay? It's made up by people that bastardized Scrum. They don't just take into account things that can go wrong during a sprint. And ultimately, they use
All right, I have a machine overheated. All right, let's go back to it. So why story points are bad? Yeah, it's just used against the development team. No unforeseen. All knowledge work is all unforeseen issues and bugs. It's all unforeseen because we're expected to like make these things like what I'm trying to say. We're expected to make these things in these sprints, right? So we don't have time to really think through a lot of the problems. Hey, look, the thing is not active. Okay. My portal looks like it's gone dark.
Ultimately, they're used against the development team.
Shut up, Chris. Keep going.
Against the development team. You say, well, when our project manager goes to his project status update meeting with the stakeholders, he comes in with his burn down chart like this. Yeah? And he says, we're on track for delivery. I'm a great manager. That's what it's for, okay? There's no benefit to do this.
The benefit is to the preservers who, in a zero interest rate environment, the ZERP environment, was able to hire their friends who were working at the pool store. It's like, no, come down and be a product manager. We just need all the kinds of help. We can't figure out the problems. They're like, just go to the Scrum certification thing for a weekend, and you'll learn about the burn down chart. And then you can show that to the stockholders who you don't want to talk directly to the developers. Oh, no. Don't talk to the developers. Talk to the developers. No, they have to be busy typing at all times. Because that's all they know how to do. Don't talk to them. You talk to the product manager who will have a nice suit and tie and have a chart. If you talk to the devs, there's no chart. There's no chart. It's all this code. It looks like the Matrix in there. They don't understand. The devs haven't been told, and they don't talk to people all the time, so they don't build up a skill to like realize how you can talk to people and there's interesting and you can get a lot of insights. No, talk to the product manager.
If the team says they will ship on a certain date, they're going to ship on a certain date or they will lose their jobs. That's it.
That's adventure driven. That's adventure driven. The date comes. If you don't have it, you're no longer doing this project anymore. What? This is really how it works anyway.
Do this. He can the other way around. He's upset.
I got to keep it up.
His burned down chart is upside down. Oh, God. Okay. The developers are underperforming. We need to work them harder. Yeah. By the way, I've got some mates in the third world who can do it for half price. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Just do it offshore. Save a bunch of money. Same people, right? It's just the cogs of the machine. Everything's the same, right? Yeah, fine.
Now, I know I rag on this guy quite a bit because he's a bit of a thing. But what does a good project manager look like? Okay. So a good project manager is an agent for your team. All right. An agent. He acts as a go-between between the interests of the developers, the ones dedicating several months of their short times on planet Earth to getting this software out the door, and the people that are paying for it, the stakeholders, or those customers. And they also don't call themselves a Scrum Master. If anybody calls themselves a Scrum Master in 2024, 25, 26, run for the hill.
It was always a bad idea.
It's a week-long course. It teaches you nothing about software development.
Exactly. I've talked to these people. It's sad. It's so sad. The things they've been sold, the slick marketing brochures. They're like, oh, $1,000 give me a $70,000 position as a Scrum Master. I get the word master in my name. I get to dick people over and mess with people. Could you shave a point off of that? I've got a meeting I have to run.
Obviously, then, a bad project manager. Yeah, like this guy. Yeah. He pushes for maximum efficiency. This is a machine.
Yeah. Of course. Well, what else does he know?
I keep repeating myself,
but this is the same. I've had these discussions like, hey guys, this is not a production process. And they're like, what are you talking about? Everything's a production process. I got an MBA from Harvard, you know.
It's a machine, right? And he appears to be working in the interests of the stakeholder.
No,
only. He's not on your side.
Things up, you're in the way. Get out of the way.
Bad project manager. And he can't trust anyone. Right? He needs those metrics to essentially be able to assign blame if something doesn't go according to plan. So what a sprint is, I hear you ask.
Right. He's also a way to put blame. He's out in the blame, so you can't blame. So the stakeholders, right, can't talk to the developers. Oh my God, don't do that, right? They don't know what they're very interesting people who may have some insights on how your business is run. No. We get somebody in the middle who will play all kinds of political games just to keep him in the middle. I get it. It's American way.
Well, the sprint goals are individual steps needed to get to your final shippable product,
whatever
that may be. Right? If this is something that hasn't shipped yet, you know what it needs to look like. So you can break that down into individual sprints. Just give each sprint a theme. You've got 10 sprints, 10 themes, roughly in order, right?
Or just tasks or whatever. I mean, you can break it down that much if you need to. But a lot of developers, they already know what we need to do. It's a big label over it, okay?
It's not waterfall. You can plan, even with Agile. Yeah, you should plan with Agile. But these are not set in...
Some design up front, yeah. We're going to change it along the way, of course. But at least have a direction to go in. Not just, start typing.
Certain commitments you can readjust as you get more information or you go faster or slower. Okay, it's not the end of the world if we're running a sprint behind schedule, because in the last 5 sprints something might come
up. This stuff is ridiculous. This sprint pressure behind schedule baloney. When I came back to software development, they're doing it this way. I was like, and then I asked, I went to a couple of these people, like, I'm still trying to learn your system. All your developers are gone. This 2-week cadence thing. Why are we doing? Oh, it's just because it's industry standard. It's like, okay, well, I don't think I'm gonna be able to complete this thing in this 2-week. Well, then we'll just go school. It'll just spill over to the next one. It's like, is that penalized? Or is it seems like no, but we'd rather have them in a sprint. It's like, why? Well, we just rather have it that way. It's like, all right, whatever.
Where you suddenly save a sprint of time. You have no idea. And estimates, the longer you make them in advance, the less accurate they are going to be. But I know what you're saying. You can't fit a feature in a sprint. This feature needs 3 sprints. Yeah, okay. But you can do some of it in a sprint. Yeah.
Yes, of course. But there's this intention, like there is this push because there's this thing called a sprint, which is a 2-week period, always a 2-week period. I don't know why. And I call it a session. It could be the whole thing, it could be split up. It don't have to. You just be like, we're just going for it, man. We're not going to try and split it up in all these different things. Here's the things we need to do. Or do you want to do this? I can do that. You can do this. I can do that. I need the graphics for the thing. Can you do some photographs? Can you start calling some people? Can you do the SEO a little bit? See if there's even a market here. Blah, 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 blah.
You can commit and get into the code base something that's not quite finished and hide it behind a feature flag. Just turn it off. It's far better that it's actually integrated into the software earlier.
Who cares if it's, it was like, yes, this is how we build it from, yes, feature flag, fine, or just put it in there and it's behind a different menu. There's a bunch of ways to handle it. There's not a feature flag and put it on a feature flag. It doesn't have, just put it in the app and inside of it, you have to hold down a special key. What? This does not complicated, right? This kind of stuff. It's like you're a feature in a sprint. It's like the whole thing's a feature. The whole business is a feature. Like what?
Then a developer disappears for 3 sprints and comes back in and tries to merge in a load of changes. Break it down and get it into sections. Maybe do the back end first.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the continuous integration. Let's just push it into main, man. Trust everybody to be working on it and not step on each other's toes. If we're stepping on each other's toes, why are we stepping on each other's toes in the same code section? That's ridiculous. Go someplace else. Do something else that needs to be done. Not into the same spot. And we should be thinking, okay, before we ever do the same spot, we should be thinking about what are we going to do? The box, the line, the conceptual layers. Come on, this is not hard. My How to Program from the Ground Up series. I talk about that in the software design section. You can look it up on my GitHub on the links below. Come on now.
Get that in. Then the front end. However you want to slice it. It is possible, okay? The goal of each sprint is to have a shippable piece of software. You don't actually have to ship it, especially if the software.
You gotta have something running, something showing, some displaying, or have design documents that are saying this is where the direction we're going. We can use time to do that, to put it all together, put the screen flows and the events and all the stuff, all the things that may be happening. We can at least think about where we're headed, right? We're going to change along the way. So don't get excited. This isn't in stone. We're doing software, not hardware. We're not sending it off to be shipped, printed somewhere. It takes 2 weeks to get back. No, we're doing software. It takes literally seconds to change it. And if it's so brittle that every change breaks everything else, you've definitely done something wrong. And you need to take my course, How to Program from the Ground Up.
Software's not finished yet. And you can deploy and get into the software something that's half finished. Just put it up behind a feature flag. The next complaint about Scrum.
Your customers don't have to see it, but somebody's going to have to see it. Like, you're going to see it. Come on now.
Scrum isn't necessarily bad. Just bad Scrum is. All right? My stand-ups are too long.
Yes, they are, because everyone does this one big fat stand-up. And there's a thing where you just do a status update. You can do asynchronous, and then you can also do every other day. It depends on which phase of the thing you're in. If you're designing all this junk up front, it's going to be days back to back, all stand up all day. But if you're doing little things and you can do it async and you're not having any issues, not a problem. But every once in a while, you should get together and talk. And also, I talk about the pair programming, passive pair programming, where everybody's passively mob programming and look at each other's screens on a shared Zoom call. If this is inside of an office, even, I mean, we don't have to all sit in the same room. We can sit separately. But if we're looking at each other's screens and we can see what each other's doing, that's when the team gets bigger than 2 or 3 people. 4 people. I mean, it becomes a thing, right? And also the stand-ups. Instead of doing this one part, big fat one, we do the start of it, which is the status updates, and then the weeds. So there might be things we bring up in here. We want to talk specific details, and we can do that in phase 2, which is called the weeds, which I talk about it right here. Let's go here. Where is it? Where is it? I talk about the weeds here. Why can't we just do a 2-parter? So if you don't want to listen to all the weeds crap, where there's deeper discussion before you log off and go to start doing your thing, man. No talking about your dogs. No talking about what you did last weekend. Or a dating app. Who's you dating? It's like, I don't want to hear it.
I have to talk to people for 30 minutes. Don't care. That 30 minutes can be good, all right?
Right, but it has to be, if it's enforced, like, okay, yes, you have to talk to your people every once in a while, but you should be doing it passively all the time in the thing anyway. But having people talk together, there's phases, right, where you want to talk a lot, and there's a phase where I don't want to talk at all, and then there's phases where we want to talk a little bit. And why does it have to be all? No, it must be this one, and then you have to talk like this, and then talk like it's way more fluid, man. Way more fluid.
You can afford to sync up with your team once a day. Chat about the weather. Make some friends. Especially if you're remote and you're going to.
Yeah, but if you have some kind of thing, your deadline, you're already 6 points into a 2-pointer. You don't want to talk about this stuff because it's held against you. The sprint stuff is a time estimate stuff is annoying. big cause of lots of arguments. The sprint pointing, the story pointing, the time estimates, the sprint schedule, the cadence, all that stuff. It just makes people feel bad, man. It's like, seriously, nobody likes it. Nobody likes it except management. So who's it for? It's not for us. It's for management. So we can cut that shit out and still do the stuff we're doing in there that we're doing anyway with all this other junk added on top. Like, you gotta say this then. You have to be doing this at this time. It's like, I don't want to be your puppet, buddy.
Like, go dark for another 7.5 hours of the day. It's worth talking to people. You don't have to make it a formal, what have you done, what have you do, and
passive screen share. You do the passive screen share, which is totally fun idea because you can see what everybody else is doing instead of hidden behind a black wall. And it's only for certain periods of the time of the day, and everyone can just see what everybody else is doing and keep everybody in sync, but they see what everybody else is doing without talking about it. Oh my God. We used to do this. This is how we would do. We'd walk over to the other person's desk and we just sit there down and shut up. They'd be doing something. We just sit there and let them do it. And they say hello. It's like, no, go ahead. I want to see what you're doing. And they go, oh yeah, okay. And they just keep going. And then every once in a while, you're like, excuse me. And they're just like, hold on a second. And then be like, okay, what? And then they'll just say what? And then we talk about it. Come up with something. It's like that. Just like, what? This is not rocket science.
Okay, sit down if it's too tiring. All right. Don't let senior management into these things because this turns it into a high pressure, high stakes.
Definitely not. They should not be in the dev meeting. They should not be at the tavern. At the beginning, maybe when we're talking about how much time it's going to take, it's like, you got 2 weeks, you got 6 months, you have 3 months. It's like, okay, yeah, we get it. But then we'll demo stuff when we're ready, because we know we only got a time schedule. We know we're at a time schedule, but bringing it up all the damn time and making it the most present thing is not going to motivate the people who are creating stories. Now the preservers, they need that shit because they're just doing the little tiny little beats. These guys are great for maintaining your thing after you build it. Yeah, maybe then you micromanage them with all this stuff, but not the destroy creative types. We're not going to come up with something new and amazing and put up with this baloney. It's just not how we're built. It's not how any of this stuff was made. It wasn't made that way. That Scrum is from a Toyota production line process in Japan for Japanese people.
I must demonstrate my worth on every single morning. This is such a bad habit, and
yeah, it's terrible.
Ideally, it would only be the dev team, okay?
But you got to put up with it for a little while. Yeah, because you're gonna be down in the dungeons to fake Agile Doom for a while until you discover before you discover adventure driven, or either by yourself. Because before I talked about adventure driven, there was no word for this stuff. It was just, oh, we're doing a startup, but I got a cool idea and we're gonna try it. And then there was just like people that understood this is what it takes, and the people out there like, oh, I'm gonna grift on it, and like, oh, it'd be great to get on my resume. Get ready to have Google or Facebook on my resume after the startup shit's over. But they still advertise like, no, we're still a startup. No, you're a startup 20 years ago. Not one now. Stop.
It is in there. And the project manager, if he has to, if he insists, then fine. But, the project manager can just talk to the tech lead out of band or watch the tickets move across the board if they need a status update.
Or watch the share the video. When we're going to do the share, you can watch all the devs at the Zoom meeting. You can attach in, you go, look at what they're doing. Or maybe go out and treat them like a human being and go talk to them. What? This is not difficult.
Right. But the stand-up should be...
But I don't want to get my hands dirty with the developers. They kind of smell weird and they talk funny and they have weird interests. Well, then I guess you're not going to get all the good stuff that adventure-driven stuff happens, which is like amazing stuff that happens in these adventure-driven stuff. Because that's where all this Google, they acquire all their stuff after they do the search thing. And they just acquire stuff that other people did adventure-driven. This is not difficult.
Just a team building exercise, ultimately. But you also say, I need my scaled agile. I've got 10 Scrum teams. Fine. How do I coordinate multiple teams? That's the neat part. You don't.
No.
You don't do it. There is no point.
Idea.
A team should be able to ship.
Now, in industry, when you're producing 10,000 widgets across 6 different factories, you best believe you better coordinate those teams. They all got to know. Down to like precision, so you can do just-in-time manufacturing, right? Because that's the big thing, right? It's like everything is right at the edge of efficiency. We're squeezing out 2.7% this month, sir. Like, yes, but not where knowledge work. That doesn't work that way. Sorry, I wish it did. I wish after all the time and all the gnashing of teeth and all the people discussing this and you got to do it like this, like that. We haven't figured out that it doesn't work like that. Knowledge work doesn't work like that. It's not an industry. It's not a manufacturing line. Stop making it into one. Stop doing the burn down charge, time estimates. It's all industry. I know it's really like, oh, when you see it, it's like, oh, they're just trying to make it an industrial thing, and you can't do it with knowledge work. Unless you're in maintenance mode, okay, then that's different, right? But creating something new, no, fool's errand.
Their piece of the software independently, and that software alone should have some value in it. Do not do a three-legged race and tie the legs of different teams together, because all good software is built by small, high-performance, independent teams. Great. You say, fine. What about the deadlines? Yeah, this isn't just a party. Yeah. Well, fine, but not all deadlines are real. So let's play a game.
Okay, yeah, this is the real fake deadlines. Oh, so this is a big thing as well. These managers, they don't really have much else to offer, right? They don't have really, they're not giving too much else. So they got to come up with these games. They're playing with the time and promises and being able to beat people up about promises they were given. And this is what they love. They love to do it.
He's going to come up with a deadline reason, and we're going to go,
they don't got nothing else, man.
I promised the boss.
What else do they have?
You get this done by this date, okay? This does get said, all right? Real or fake? It's fake, yeah? Fake. This is not a real deadline, okay? His promises are not your promises. Do not let somebody bounce your personal commitments to do something, to meet commitments that they've made. It's just rude, ultimately.
He's doing what he's been told at the MBA at Harvard. This is how you do it. You wheedle in, you do the politics, you weasel. You squeeze weasel. You weasel in.
Next up, he says, the budget for this project runs out on this date.
Okay.
Now, assuming he's telling the truth, this is a real deadline.
Yeah. I think that's real. Now, unless he's now a lot of times do the fake run out, right? How about the time when I start laying you off? Like, the project may continue with me, right? The project may continue with me, right? But it may not be for you, right? That's honest. That's really real. And developers who are adventure driven will understand that, right? You had 4 days, was. If we don't do it in 4 days, it's over. I don't get the contract. Now, the thing is, they probably would have got the contract still. But Steve Jobs wouldn't have been able to go up to the Apple Farm cult and go do whatever he was doing up there, dropping acid or having fun with the ladies. Who knows what he was into? He's
going to run out, so we need to get everything done by this date. That's fine. That's a real business reason. Sometimes you might say, our competitor has this feature coming out, and we also need the same thing, or we won't be competitive and we'll lose some market share. This, believe it or not, yes, this is a real deadline. Everybody should be.
I mean, if you're doing Feature Factory, slogging it out, direct competition, you're going to be dealing with this all the time, man. And maybe it's worth it, maybe it ain't.
Incentivized to beat your competitors. That's the market. You might also say something like this. Performance reviews are coming up, guys. It'd be great if we could get this done. And obviously, the cadence of your software should not be tied to your internal performance reviews.
Oh, but you best believe it is. You best believe your cadence is directly... Come on now. But they use this... This is your pip plan, right? This is your pip plan!
This is fake. Now, this might come as a bit of a shock for somebody as cynical as me, okay? But sprints are okay. They're okay.
I mean, if you needed to set it up that way... But it's like, hey man, we need to get this done. 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 Can we? And then then it's like, what can we drop off, right? What can we do to make it so we can still deliver something in the time allotted, and that will get us to prove like, hey, we can keep going with this, or what can we cut out that's non-essential? What do we need? And if people who identify who's not pulling their weight, so we can exclude them next time. And who's been super awesome and needs to be given more, that kind of stuff. But just splitting it up into this is from industrial process. When I first heard about the Scrum thing and how you break it up in these little time sessions, I was like, I don't think that works. And he's like, oh, you mean Kanban? I was like, I don't know what that is either, but like we have things we need to get done and things that are broken, and the things that are broken should be fixed probably before we try and add new features, if that makes any sense at all. And we don't know how long things are going to take to get things fixed, because that's the nature of bugs, is oftentimes we don't know how long they're going to take. What's the number on that? So how many points on that bug? It's like, we don't know. But we do know that if we don't do this in the 3-month period that we've been allotted, we're going to get canned and we're going to have to go begging somewhere else. And it'll be sad that our project that we're working on died. So that's really stopped with the time estimates.
Because they focus the team on a deliverable. It's only once every 2 weeks that you actually have to get something finished. It's not the end of the world, all right? You do have to do some work. I'm not saying that developers should just be lazy, okay? And they allow...
We're not lazy. Okay, the preserver types who've like, I'm gonna do web boot camp, talk my way in, do the flim flam with the product manager to get on his good side, so I'll be the last one fired. This is common.
A repeatable cycle of trust to build within the organization, within your team, and with the customer and your team, all right? By shipping repeatedly. And for a software project that isn't.
Yeah. So when I first was getting software, shipping was a really big deal. So we did spend a lot of time making sure we tested the product and we shipped internally. Everyone was using the stuff all the time because once the discs went out, it was expensive to send them out again. And it was also at a time where people didn't have the ability to download software. I know it's pretty crazy. So we were very careful about sending out these things, and that kind of was left over. But the shipping thing, it's like now the web works instantaneously. Why do people have to wait? Why do people have to wait? Just ship it instantaneously. Now your internal customers, of course, and you want to get everything tested and stuff before you go to an external customer. But internal customers, yeah, don't let them wait. Why? I mean, as soon as you got something good to show them, show them. What?
Amazon or Netflix and doesn't have a super mature deployment cycle. This allows you to have a period of time where your software is a little bit unstable. And let me talk about that. So this is the chart.
Software is always unstable until it's stable. I'll say it again. Software is always unstable until it's stable.
Part of sprint cycle instability. I'll try and draw this out for project managers quite often. Okay, so this is the beginning of the sprint.
I love bell curves too.
And this is the end of the sprint. In the middle of the sprint, expect bugs. We're working on it. We might have merged some code, and the QA's found some bugs. That's okay. But you're not going to ship the software in the middle of the sprint. All right. For most people, there's going to be builds of the software that don't work. But the idea of a sprint cycle is that as you near
you're building on your local machine. Yeah, you try it out and stuff. I mean, come on, yes, of course, these things aren't going to quite work out. As soon as it does, you push it up, and if something doesn't work out, oh well, let's start working on it again. What? This is not mystery. This isn't complicated. It's just people want to put it. Well, how much time is it going to take? Well, I don't know. How much time does it take for you to find it? It's like about 3 billion years for you to find this bug, counting from the beginning of time until you let me know this bug. So how long is it going to take? I don't know. You took you 3 billion years to get here, so I don't know. Like, how long were you messing with it? 16 hours before you found it? Why didn't you tell me last week or 2 weeks ago? You should have told me 16 weeks ago when you first got on this project. This bug was here. What? This is the kind of stuff. It's really silly. It's like this time estimates on stuff. It's like, come on.
End of the sprint, find a few days, tidy up all the loose ends, make sure that the build is decent enough to promote to the next testing environment or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
No.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't even know about the next testing environment. Okay, if you're doing internal testing, yes, but like pushing it out to the lab for production, like, I don't know, man. Testing in production, I think, is pretty badass idea as well, because it works in production.
I don't need to use Scrum because I do continuous integration. Then fine, use Kanban instead.
I mean, it's all the same stuff. Whatever.
Right.
Okay, I took the ticket off as soon as I'm done instead of waiting till the end of the time session. It's like, I've actually done this where I've waited to the end of the time session because the people said, well, if he's done early, just try and clean up some documentation, or you can work on something else. Like, really? It's like, no, you don't really want to pick up a new ticket till the beginning of the sprint. I'm like, but I'm done. Well, try to pick up another number in the beginning of the sprint next time. It's like, oh, what? Missing the point completely.
A full regression test suite. You can be 100% confident that your entire piece of software is perfect on every commit. Great. Knock yourselves out. You're mature enough to do continuous delivery. And then you don't need sprints, do you? You can just ship all the time.
Like Amazon does that's what it should be. Adventure driven, definitely shipping all the time. Internally, to yourself, right? And then when you're done internally, to your internal people as quickly as possible. When it's ready. Not as quickly as possible. It's like when it's ready. When you're ready. Instead of having to, like, every end of 2 weeks we do a special thing. It's like, no. When we're ready, we'll show you. And when we're not ready, we won't show you. Well, I mean, this is not complicated.
Homepage.
You'll make this thing
That's
still
cool. Most people are not in that scenario. And
they have
you only need to do this if you need to ship several times a day. All right. You're running some big thing, then fine. You're hyper mature. You probably don't even need this video. All right. That's okay.
I mean, even 100% shippable software is not 100% shippable software. There's always going to be problems, issues. It just doesn't go away. You can't stop it.
But this also requires a high amount of technical trust.
Of course, you're the people on the team doing it. You're adventure-driven people. You're the ones making the servers up. You're monitoring them. You're making sure everything's going through. What? This is how it works. This is how it works. You only want 10,000, 100,000 customers, maybe, tops, and then you're good. You don't have to go mess with these big CI/CD, AWS build pipeline. You can just ship to your customer.
The tech organization will probably be running most of the business at this point. So ultimately, this is about high trust Scrum versus low trust Scrum. All right. If you're going into an environment of low trust Scrum, you're going to be demanded to do accurate.
I don't like Scrum, but there's definitely low trust environments where they'll put you through this bullshit. They would deservedly so, because a lot of people are just like half cocked and don't know what they're doing and are lazy, right? Everyone will do the. But the high trust, I don't think high trust doesn't need Scrum. You don't need to do Scrum. You just work on stuff together.
estimates held up on them. You're going to find your work on charts. It's insane. Okay, so if you're starting
It is insane. I'll give you that. It is insane.
a new project with a new project manager, I highly recommend you steer it towards high trust Scrum, at least.
Well, that depends on the people you pick, right? If it's going to be these guys, you're going to need to get low trust, man. Offshore developers, oh yeah, low trust. Oh yeah. Oh, you don't think they don't know you're how much money you're making and how much they need to get a little? They're going to get more than the piece than they originally kind of agreed to in one way or another. One way or another. So yeah, when you get these guys involved, of course you got to do the low trust stuff. But these guys are going to be motivated by something else, right? Yes, it's by the chalice. They want to be compensated for their efforts, right? But it's also dancing with this guy. It's super fun. I don't know. People like developers, like when you're down here in personal tutorial projects. I mean, do you imagine doing some product for somebody that's gonna make them like happy and like feel good when they're coming in all angry? Oh, this sucks. This thing sucks. And then you delight them. Oh yeah, make yourself a pet dragon. It's fun. It's fun. All right, I think that's enough on the. Let's see on adventure. Let's just finish up.
To start, obviously, if you burn or abuse that trust, he's going to start turning the screws and he's going to want story points and so on. But let's start with high trust Scrum. Yeah, let's everybody trust each other.
I don't know. Only adventure driven lets you do that, and you have to show your stripes. You can't just be a joker coming off a boot camp going, "Oh no, I got high trust. I'm going to pull all. Do you guys do Scrum here?"
To do the best job they can. All right, that was a bit of advice from the Scrum trenches out there. If you found it useful, don't forget to leave a like. If you didn't like it, put it right.
Give him a like and subscribe. I'm gonna give it a subscribe. Yeah, so give me a like and subscribe. And yeah, I don't like Scrum. I don't like Agile because of the connotation. Give me a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.